Welcome back for another video. It's an important game week up next, and it's not an easy one if you're not free hitting. Who are the best players to buy for blank GW29? I need your feedback this week as well. I've done a bit of a redesign, so it looks consistent with my website and the stream layout. So let me know if you like it in the comments. And let me know as well, would you rather have different coloured slides for each position, or just one colour only, and in which case which colour? So let's get into it then, starting off with the keepers, and it's a two-way tie this week. Raya and Pickford, the joint top keepers, both on 3.8 points. Arsenal playing Chelsea home, while Everton are home to West Ham. 3 clean sheets and 6 for Arsenal, that's 10 this season, which only Liverpool can beat with 12. Though Liverpool, of course, one of those 4 teams that don't play this game week, which is what's making it a tricky game week, given how good Liverpool have been, and most of us have got 2 or 3 players. Plus, of course, there's Palace, Villa and Newcastle also blanking. So yeah, as a rule of thumb, if you're in a position where you can't get to 11 players without a hit, in a week like this, a hit's far more likely to be worth it. Like as the FPL cliche goes, a -4 in a blank game week is basically a -2 hit, assuming that whoever you bring in gets you at least 2 points minimum, and whoever you're selling doesn't play at all, of course. Keepers are the lowest ceiling players generally though, so if you're taking a hit, ideally an attacker or midfielder is better. But you might be keeperless for example this week, in which case it's worth it. And Nana and Sells just behind with 3.7 projected points, facing Leicester and Ipswich respectively. A popular chip strategy is wildcarding in Game Week 30 or 31, depending on when we know Game Week 33's doubles, and of course Game Week 34's blanks just afterwards. So that does mean the caveat with the next 5 projections in this video is you might not own these players for the next 5, so pay attention to the fixtures. Raya and Pickford are the 2 solid picks for the next 2 game weeks. So is Ederson actually, if he definitely starts both games. It's Brighton home and Leicester home for Man City. Moving on to the defenders next, and it's the same story as a couple of weeks ago when Man United were home to Ipswich then. Dalot tops the table, Mazraoui's in 3rd. Though we did say at the time, Man United's defence doesn't fill you with confidence, even if it's just for 1 week. That said, Leicester are on an unbelievable dry spell for goals. It's the worst XG over the last 4 game weeks, or the last 6 actually, or even over the season their worst for XG. They've only scored in one of their last 8 games in the league. Aït-Nouri seems to be the popular alternative to the Man United players in that 5 mil below bracket, but again the Wolves defence doesn't fill you with confidence. They do have Southampton though. You're probably as likely to get an attack in return from Aït-Nouri, which is his appeal really. Honourable mention to Goalkeepers, who just misses out making the table, 3.4 projected points for him. Absolutely world class individual moment from him last match, intercepting the ball well within his own half, sprinting down the left wing, and he putting that whip cross on the plate for Tavernier. Despite not appearing here, he is worth consideration for 5.1 mil, and I do like him more than the likes of Dalot, Mazraoui and Aït-Nouri, because it's that Ipswich home fixture in Game Week 30 as well. Brentford home next. No team has more goals from open play crosses than Bournemouth this season with 8, with 3 of those being assisted by Goalkeepers. Trent to Vardy was a very popular transfer plan this week, because of course Trent won't play, and you're getting 2 home games with Vardy on. Brighton and Leicester both got decent clean sheet potential, especially that Leicester game in Game Week 30, and no defender scored more goals this season or last than Vardy. Looking at the next 2 game weeks in isolation, Gabriel's on 8.4 points, Vardy 8.3, so they're the best picks if you don't own either and if you've got the money. It's all about combination transfers this week though, there's tons to discuss, so let's move on to the midfielders. So top this week is Bruno Fernandes with 5.8 points, facing a Leicester side that have kept just 1 clean sheet all season, and facing them at just the right time really, having returned in his last 3 games now Bruno, 2 goals, 2 assists and 3. So yeah, he's absolutely captaincy material this week even. Bruno's been directly involved in 25 plus goals in each of the last 3 seasons. He's on 12 goals, 13 assists this season in all comps. He's one of only 3 players to have done so for a Premier League club, along with Salah and Haaland. Odegaard's in 2nd this week, 0.87 XGI against Man United last match, but no returns from him. I would avoid Trossard despite being a 3rd here. Like if you've got him already, then keep him of course, but Martinelli was back on the bench last match. He was a threat on his minutes. That said, it was Wanera who was sacrificed last match. Kluivert and Semenyo both remain excellent choices for the next 2 if you've not got either of them. Don't write Semenyo off just because of the lack of returns the last few games. Just over 1 XGI suggests he's been a bit unlucky, and if you need a midfielder for 6 million and under, then he's the one. Kluivert of course just over 6 million, even better. So Forest have got Ipswich, which is a fixture to target. Ipswich are third worst for expected goals conceded over the last 6 game weeks, second worst over the season in fact. So yeah, Gibbs White's a really solid choice. He's on 5 goals, 9 assists this season, he's 6.5 mil. And then there is Elanga and Hudson-Odoi of course for a bit cheaper. Hudson-Odoi scored Forest's only goal last match in that win over City, just 0.09 expected goals for him though. Comparing their stats over the season, 6.83 XGI for Elanga versus 4.29, 263 minutes per XGI versus 423 for Hudson-Odoi. So the underlying numbers do support Elanga, and he's someone I'm strongly considering in fact to help fund Haaland. They're 5.3 mil, 5.2 mil. Screenshot here from Scout. Use the link below to access all the members features and get 20% off as well. And in Game Week 30 of course, Forest home to Man United, which is a perfectly good fixture nowadays. Really the question is what to do with Palmer then. Like if you've got the luxury of being able to sell him for Bruno, then that looks worth it. Or likewise, if he's a cash cow, then you could move the funds out of him to buy Haaland. That also looks worth it. Maresca said that Palmer had been ill in the lead up to that Leicester game and he missed training. He went on to of course miss his first ever penalty as well. He does look a bit low on confidence right now, and obviously that illness won't have helped. Plus it's Arsenal away next game week. I really would be peak FPL if he hauls next game week after blanking against the 2 worst teams in the league at Stamford Bridge as well. By the way, of course the elephant in the room is Salah, who does blank next game week. If you're literally struggling to field 11 players next week, then of course selling Palmer to fund Haaland's a luxury transfer. And as mad as it might sound, selling Salah is viable, only for 2 game weeks, and you just buy him back in game week 31 on a wild card for example. Like in theory, Haaland home to Brighton and Leicester will outscore Salah home to Everton in 1 fewer game. Of course, there is money tied up in Salah, which is a factor for a lot of us. It's potentially very expensive to sell and then rebuy him. Or you might find that you can afford the team you want later, even if you sell Salah. We don't know exactly who we're going to want later though, that's the caveat. Game week 33's doubles won't be known until game week 30 or 31. Like if Arsenal get a double game week 33, then suddenly you're going to want the likes of Saka and Gabriel, who are expensive. Plus City almost certainly double. So how are we going to afford Haaland plus Salah plus the others? Something's got to give there. I think you'll be surprised the amount of managers that do sell Salah. Obviously beggars can't be choosers if you can't get 11 out. As it stands, about 65,000 managers have sold them already. Onto the forwards next then, and Haaland's well ahead, 6.6 points he's on. For comparison, Bruno on 5.8, so yeah, Haaland looks the best captain this game if you can get to him. Those are the 2 standouts, but obviously Wood's going to be really popular as well, given he's got Ipswich, and he's not far behind with 5.0 points. If you don't own Bruno or Haaland, then yeah, Wood's probably your best bet. But interestingly, Evan Nilsson shoots up to joint second despite lower expected minutes, back at the worst possible time for Dango owners though. Evan Nilsson scored in the FA Cup, scored last game week as well, and he looks set to start again, with Dango a potential impact sub now. If you're chasing rank swings or looking for a fast route up in a mini league and you need a striker, then Evan Nilsson's a golden opportunity, given he is tired of Wood here, and he'll be ahead of him in game week 30 when Bournemouth are home to Ipswich. One big surprise last match was Marmoush's suspension, as City went on to lose. So you would expect Pep to shake things up in fairness, so Marmoush starting the next game does seem probable. So yeah, definitely keep if you've got him. Evan Nilsson just makes more sense if you need a striker though. He's so much cheaper for 5.6 mil, and he is projected to do better here. Strand Larsen didn't have a great game as Wolves drew 1-1 last game week. He got a yellow card and he was subbed at 73 minutes, so he might be on thin ice after that performance. You're better off going for Beto, who is actually 0.1 mil cheaper as well, if you are really tight for money buying a forward this week. I'm not expecting many assistant manager chips to be active, but just to show the final colour theme as well. And do leave your feedback below, whether to have a different colour theme for each slide, or just use one of these themes for them all. Let me know which one if so. This final one is the same theme as the original one basically, but just with the new table look. So yeah, McKenna's top, he's on 8.1 points. He is eligible for the table bonus home to Forest. Pep's in second on 7.0 points for that Brighton fixture. If you happen to have the chip active, I'd just back Pep this week. Ipswich just feel a bit dodgy as a table bonus bet right now. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know in the comments what your transfer plans are. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the button as well. See you soon for the next one.